The House of Raiden, written by Patrick Sekula and published in Staff Writer Magazine, Volume 10, Number 1. It was published in 1992. The House of Raiden. Long, long ago, there lived a man by the name of Raiden. He had been living in the same village of Karima. His life was so full of mystery because he was not known to talk to people except Stephen, his animal keeper, and to Donald, with whom he occasionally had some conversations. All the people of Karima did not like to get near his house. It was big and built from huge stones which he dug by himself from the mountains 10 miles away. Those who had been there say it was impossible for one man to do that kind of job. It took him 2 years to dig the rocks. It took him another year to bring them to his yard. During that time, he was living in a single hut, packed with tools, cutting utensils, axes, and his sleeping bag. He built the house by himself, and it is said that after 6 months he had already finished that intimidating massive structure. The fact that he lived alone there perpetuated the myth that it was a ghost house. At night, the inside appeared to be very dimly lit, and no one dared to go near that place. Stephen's mother, who lived about 2 miles from the Raiden compound, had always warned her son about his errands at the Raiden house. Stephen, would you listen to me and stop going to that spooky house? Mother, I'm just helping old Raiden. Whatever you're doing there, I don't like it anymore. Stop arguing with me. I'm giving you just 2 days and you must quit. But I'm only helping him feed his animals. His animals were the kind that no other boy in Karina would bother to feed. Raiden kept snakes, cats, dogs, a crocodile, 2 jackals, rabbits, and scores of an unlikely combination of other wild animals. One cool afternoon, just after he had finished feeding his congregation, Raiden went to see his old friend. He was feeling lonelier since Stephen was no longer coming to help him. Pam, whose husband Donald died after being haunted by one of Raiden's snakes, was living with Stephen. She quickly broke into bitter tears and ran to her room where she locked herself away from the old monster of a man. Pamela, what's the matter? I demand that you open that door before I smash it open, Raiden threatened. Go away, you wizard. You killed my husband. Her voice was barely audible as she was sobbing at the same time. What? I killed your husband? That is not true, Raiden said. He died of a heart attack and was buried 2 days ago. I did not tell you. He said since you had those animals of yours. But they are mine. How could they have caused him a heart attack? One of your snakes frightened him and he could not sleep the whole night. In the morning he was lying dead next to me, my dear Donald. Go away. I don't want to see you again. I will leave. Karima doesn't want me anymore. As he said this, he slowly closed the door. He looked quizzically at his friend's house and left for the quiet of his rock house. He was never to be seen alive again. 3 weeks had gone by since he was chased away by Pamela. His animals were making a discordant noise so regularly that made his house more intimidating. His animals were making a discordant noise so regularly that made his house more intimidating. People were wondering what was going on. They were beginning to ask if this was Raiden's ultimate plan. Stephen, more out of concern than out of curiosity, secretly went to the house one night. It was so dark that he couldn't even see further than his nose. As soon as he had struggled into one of the rooms, he saw the skeleton remains of Raiden. He tried to scream, but his voice couldn't make a sound. He tried to run, but his feet remained glued to the rocky floor. The skeleton spoke with a voice reminiscent of Raiden's. Stephen, Why have you left me? Why are you not feeding my animals anymore? Come and stay with me, my friend. I'll give you everything that you want in this world." At that point, all the animals made a simultaneous and frightening sound. The poor boy was so paralyzed with fear that he just collapsed. When he came to, he was under a tree next to Raiden's yard. A passerby ran to his home and told his mother. A doctor was quickly called and he suggested hospitalization and a rest of 6 days at least. On the sixth day, Stephen was well, but he still did not remember what had happened on that night. He walked for the whole day in a westerly direction. When the sun set, he had paced well over 50 miles with no rest at all. It was at that point that he made a small fire under a huge marula tree. He warmed himself and ate a small piece of meat he had in his bag. At that point, not even a single thought of Raiden's nightmares surfaced in his mind. Instead, he was trying to think about what experiences he would have for the next few weeks away from his mother, whose order he so openly defied. No sooner had he drank water from his bottle than he quickly took out his blanket and rolled it around himself under that morula tree. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Steve wished he wouldn't have another nightmare that night. He had convinced himself that he would ward off any of Raiden's threats, as he called them. That was not to be. A dream soon took hold of his thoughts. He was in Raiden's compound. A rabbit sat next to him, and Raiden appeared from behind him. "It is so pleasing to see you again after this period of uncertainty," he said cheerfully. Steve did not move or say anything. He was not sure of what he was seeing. Just behind Raiden, he thought he saw a huge python with its poisonous tongue forked toward Raiden's head. He was trying to shout a warning to Raiden, but his voice would not come out of his throat. Ironically, he saw Raiden just smiling and beckoning him not to worry. "The snake is a friend," he said to Steve. While this incredible scene was still happening, the rabbit suddenly left Steve's sight and jumped on the python's back. Steve realized that the snake was not making any threatening movements. Old Raiden was bemused. "Isn't this a wonderful kingdom, son? Come and join us and live happily ever after, or happily forever," he said to Steve. Steve tried to mumble something, but no word came out of his mouth. He was sweating so profusely and his body started to shake violently. The old man moved towards him. The snake, with the rabbit still on its back, crawled closer to Steve. Raiden tried to touch Steve's shoulder. At that moment, Steve was so panic-stricken that he shouted a screeching, "No!" When he came to his senses, it was about 6 in the morning. His mother was seated next to him. His blanket was in tatters. Lo and behold, he was in Raiden's old yard. He had never set foot there since his mother scolded him. He felt so cold. "But this is Raiden's house," he said. "Yes, it is," answered his mother tearfully. "How did I?" he stammered. "Forget it. I knew something was wrong in my dreams last night. I came straight here this morning to look for you. Let's go home." Raiden's magic. No magic is greater than a mother's love for her only son. Let's go home and never think about Raiden anymore. "Mother, I shall obey you for the rest of my life. I shall never even talk about the Raiden house anymore." That is how Steve eventually got rid of the Raiden myth. He knew that one should not abandon one's parents for the sake of outsiders.